Welcome to Smut and Sensibility,
a podcast for romance readers and romance writers.
By romance readers and writers.
We are Amber,
Allie,
and Marie,
a group of learned ladies who love talking about the romance genre.
In this podcast, we will talk about our favorite books, writing craft, and how we make room for a creative life in real time.
So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to Smut and Sensibility, everyone. I'm Allie. I'm a doctor writer, and I am studying history part-time at Oxford. And thank you for joining us with my illustrious co-host.
Thank you. I'm Amber. I'm a corporate attorney by day and a romance reader and writer by night.
So welcome back, as we said. We are getting into part 2 of the off-campus book to TV Prime adaptation. There
was so much. It needed 2 episodes, you guys.
It did. It's a rich text, you know. There's a lot of source material. So we're going to be covering episodes 5 through 8 a little bit later in the episode. But first, obviously, we got to get started with our tea time. So Amber has another great kind of like industry gossip tea for us today. And she's used her legal skills. Her
little bit.
Lawyer
yes,
brain.
We have. First, what are you drinking for tea time? So it's not boring because water is good for you, but I actually just have water. It's the afternoon. I need to hydrate. But look at this beautiful little tumbler I have. It's Rifle Paper Co. So of course she's got a little gold in there.
For anybody that's listening, it is like a navy Rifle Paper Co. It's got the beautiful like blue-green. It's got peacocks, gold foil, florals, but very botanical, very cute.
Every time I use this one, because you rotate them and you wash them, or at least that's what I do in my household. Every time I bring it back out, Lachlan goes, "Mommy, my favorite." I'm like, "Good taste, sir." I don't know. So he really likes this one.
That's cute.
What are you drinking?
I'm still sipping on my Chow Peach. You know, that's what we're doing.
You know what? Don't mess with a good thing. So hop into tea time.
Yeah.
So we've flirted occasionally about AI, and we've talked about eventually we'll do an episode, I think. So let us know in the comments if you would like our take on AI. But for tea time today,
I will say I think that we do have an interesting, neurocognitive as well as legal perspective. Which,
in addition to then creative, it's a really cool trifecta.
Adding to the sort of conversation.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We're still ruminating. We're still thinking. But for today, there is a new AI lawsuit that has been filed by the major publishing houses. So I think this is what everyone has been hoping would happen.
It's a big deal.
But I think that it is a big deal. But I also think there's some hesitation that are they just taking a long time to get stuff prepared? Or are they not going to do it? I wanted to read a brief excerpt that I pulled from an NPR article by Chloe Veltman that was posted on May 5th. Publishing houses Hachette, Macmillan, McGraw-Hill, Elsevier, and Cengage joined forces with best-selling author Scott Turow and his own company, which is Scribe, to file a class action lawsuit against Meta. And what's really interesting here is it's its CEO, personally, Mark Zuckerberg. Right. So I think that's the thing that's taking this further. The plaintiffs accuse the tech company of building generative AI models on the backs of millions of stolen copyrighted books and journals and articles. In their complaint filed at the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, the plaintiffs argue that Meta knowingly copied copyrighted materials from notorious pirate websites such as LibGen and Anna's Archives to train various iterations of its Llama language model, with Zuckerberg's personal authorization to do so. I will repeat that. That is from the article. With his personal authorization to do so. The complaint alleges that Meta willingly bypassed the legal licensing markets to gain an advantage in the AI, quote, arms race. Ooh. So it was very interesting. And so the nerd in me, I did pull up the complaint. It is 65 pages. I didn't deep dive into the full complaint yet, just because it takes some time. And I just kind of wanted to do a cursory review. But this is going to show the legal nerd in me. Sometimes in complaints or lawsuits, you can be like, oh, they're going for the jugular, or they're being sassy even in their complaint or in their counter motion, right? Because otherwise it's pretty factual and dry, right? Sometimes it can be, but that's just how legal writing is for anybody who isn't familiar or hasn't studied themselves. Brevity is your friend. You're going to slash. There is no extra. That's just how we're trained. So I am just going to read you 2 paragraphs from the complaint. It's right away. It's called Nature of the Case. And I was like, oh, damn, while I read it. So, Allie, I'm interested to see if you have the same perspective in response, or if you're just like, Amber, you're just nerding out on your own. Okay. Are you ready for this? So, this is in the nature of the case.
Yes.
They're opening up the complaint. Number 1, in their effort to win the AI arms race in quotations and build a functional generative AI model, defendants, Meta, and Zuckerberg followed their well-known motto, quote, move fast and break things.
That's
They
really
first-
sassy.
I know, that is the first sentence, the first paragraph in the nature of the case. I was like, we're hitting hard. There's no pulling punches here. They first illegally torrented millions of copyrighted books and journal articles from notorious pirate sites and downloaded unauthorized web scrapes of virtually the entire internet. Then they copied those stolen fruits many times over to train Meta's multi-billion-dollar generative AI system called Llama. In doing so, defendants engaged in one of the most massive infringements of copyrighted materials in history. So that's the first paragraph.
Okay.
Number 2, defendants reproduced and distributed millions of copyrighted works without permission, without providing any compensation to authors or publishers, and with full case document that's like referencing evidence, right? So like you guys won't know this, but then if I wanted to see what it is, it referenced the document. So, and with full knowledge that their conduct violated copyright law, Zuckerberg himself personally authorized and actively encouraged the infringement. Meta also stripped CMI from the copyrighted works it stole. It did this to conceal its training sources and facilitate their unauthorized use. So like,
What is CM?
so that is the copyrighted like watermark material, right?
Okay.
In the beginning of
Yeah.
the books. So like
Okay.
that if you upload, it should automatically be like, no, this is copyrighted. I'm pretty sure that's what CMI is.
Okay.
So banger. Again,
Banger.
I personally, it is wild that Mark Zuckerberg himself is named as an individual, because typically there are like layers of protection. It's not indemnity carte blanche, right? Like it's not like Mark could kill somebody in the name of Meta and then he's fine because
Right.
he's a CEO. But there's a lot of
Right.
layers typically that like you're acting as CEO. So the fact that he is personally named, like this is going beyond like you knowingly went outside CEO, broke law. I'm thinking it took so long because they were obviously working behind the scenes. Like if we're going to do this, they want to do it. This is just my random lady on the internet. And also took the time to then file the evidence required in this complaint. This complaint is 65 pages long. That's not even all the documents it's going to now be referencing in the complaint that they filed. So I think it's really hopeful. Obviously it's a big fight. Like Mark Zuckerberg has so much money and so does Meta, but obviously so do these 5 publishing houses, and it'll be interesting to see who else is on their side. You never know who's also assisting in this lawsuit. Unfortunately, law does not move fast. So I don't think it's not going to be a resolution anytime soon. And I remember when this all came about, again, some of it was conjecture, but there was a lot of commentary online talking about that I think that they somehow got evidence that probably proved you knowingly did it. But I think the mindset is Meta or Mark Zuckerberg, right? I can knowingly break the law. Even if I get caught, this happens a lot of times in product liability cases, which is terrible, you guys, but like they've made Aaron Brockovich, they've made movies about that companies will knowingly do something because they were like, by the time we're found out, even if we're found out, that will be so far down the road that even if there's
all this money,
even if there's potentially a really big damages outfall, we will still make more money in that time projected than we will off of the damages that we hypothetically will have to pay, but maybe we'll never get caught. No, I'm not trying to say it is disgusting. And I'm not trying to say everybody is like that. I'm not saying Mark did that. I have no knowledge. This is all alleged. This isn't a complaint. But this is kind of that perspective that it's like, it is too big. And then also they have so many resources and the amount of money. And it'll be interesting to see what they counterfile. Because another trick typically in litigation is you bury them in discovery. Like you have to disclose stuff, but then you do over disclose. So then they have to spend so many attorney hours and legal fees having to try to fish through all that to find what's actually relevant, what isn't. So the fact that I don't think anyone is anticipating them not Meta and or Mark Zuckerberg to not fight this to the final draw and try to make it so they settle out. But I personally, I hope they don't settle out, because then it's, a lot of times settlement will be under cloak and dagger, and then we get no rule of law out of it, and then it's just money exchanging hands. When really, I think we need some firm case law on AI.
Yeah.
I think in many sectors.
Yeah.
So, it's not necessarily completely great news, but I think it's a start in the fact that they even did it. And then now, a little snippet that just happened Thursday, May 28th, CNN is suing Perplexity for AI unlawful copying and infringement. And I do believe this is the first television network. So we've had other like print before, but I think this is the first television network. So maybe it'll be a series of lawsuits that will start. And so maybe my fear of, if a couple settle out, maybe at some point this is going to get so big and everyone's filing that there has to be a rule of law. Like someone somewhere, it needs to go to a place where we're litigating it and creating legal framework to control what is legal and what is not. And that it can't just be Wild West and we're just doing what we want to.
You know what?
What do you think, Allie? What do you think?
Well, for my first, this is just what immediately came off of it.
Yeah, because you didn't know this, listeners. I didn't share this with her beforehand. I'm like, I want your reaction.
This is good. This is really good tea. Yeah. The first thing that I thought when you were after you said CNN is also doing their own lawsuit with Perplexity, I was like, dun 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 dun. Let's go, girls. Let's go, girls. Let's get them in court. Yeah, let's freaking do it. So I love that energy. And I think that is a really important thing that you said, about the fact that this lawsuit with, all of these publishing houses and the author that you named, it's like a personal and a company are the defendants, and feel to make that allegation, there's got to be allegedly probably some internal document where he's on the record saying something, or someone has something that really implicates his directive to ignore copyright. So I think that that's interesting. That was definitely a very sassy first, line. And I think it really does set the stage. And yeah, I'm really interested to see, we need some type of something going on because it's crazy. And it would really like to see some justice personally. So
yeah.
And I think I'm just really sick of the AI is inevitable conversation. And this is not the topic of this episode, so I'm not going to get into it. But you guys can probably tell,
I can see your eyes twitch.
AI is not my vibe. I'm uninterested in it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't want anything that you've made with it. I'm sick of this sort of implication that we have to accept this, and that we have to let this become an inevitability, meaning we have to let AI take our jobs, that we have to let AI be integrated into everything. I think it's really important to keep in mind that the people that are telling us that we better get on board, otherwise we're going to be left behind. They have
the source.
Spent billions of dollars building this bubble, and they don't want it to burst. And so they have to try to convince us that we need this, and I don't need it. And so I think that, I'm kind of sick of being told all the time that it's coming for us anyway. I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to lay down and take it. So
yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. So I'm excited to see some of these lawsuits and whether they get settled out of court. I do think that it will be interesting to see, because some of these high profile lawsuits are not necessarily lawsuits in the sense that they have, massive quote legal successes, right? In that, you could be bringing up a suit, but it may be to draw attention to an issue. It may be a court of public opinion situation. I think that is also part of what we are here, what we're witnessing as well. So
I think there is hope for this lawsuit, just because AI is such a problem. It took them so long to do it. It's so many big powerhouses. But again, Mark Zuckerberg has so much money that I'm just worried that how much could he throw at them? But also it will affect their business, right? That's their bread and butter. Basically commentary, if they're allowed to do this, copyright means nothing, right? I think even the average person who has no legal experience, never looked into it, when you explain it on that basic level. Like if you're allowed to do this and it doesn't infringe upon copyright law, then copyright is what is a copyright? It doesn't
Right.
actually protect you against anything in practice, and you can just steal these works and do with them what they want and make money off of it.
Well,
So
and yeah, I mean, if and copyright calls into question intellectual property, that can call into question patents to some sort of like, extrapolation. Like I'm sure Meta has copyrighted material that, if we essentially determine copyright is meaningless, which I'm really hoping that that's not how this ultimately ends up, but that can also be bad for the defendants in this case, So this was such a good tea. I'm definitely going to be watching this. I'm sure, like you said, the process is going to be very slow, but
yeah,
I'm
but
going to
still
be
there's
interested in
hope.
updates.
And the big five publishers, you guys. So
Yeah,
stay tuned.
like that's a big deal.
That's the tea today. Woot
Thank
woot.
you. This was
You're
such a good tea
welcome.
time.
I know I was
Such a
like,
good
am I
tea
going to
time.
get a little legal nerdy? I am, but I think it's still
Yeah.
related. So we're going to just,
Yeah.
you're
No,
welcome.
I
You
think
got to have 2 paragraphs from a complaint today because that's what you needed on your commute
that,
or your walk or while you're washing dishes or whatever you're doing
yeah,
right now. You're welcome.
that is exactly right. That's what you needed. But thank you so much that was a good tea time. I really enjoyed that. I love it.
Thank you,
We're going to move
darling.
into Book Nook now, which, again, our TBRs are just growing. We're like halfway through this year pretty much. And, we're cruising. So we'll start. I read Enemies to Lovers by Alicia Rye.
Ooh.
And
I don't know if I've heard of this one.
Okay, this was really, really good. If you are somebody who likes a sort of adventure rom-com, if you like forced proximity, if you like a road trip, if you obviously like, an enemies to lovers or adversaries, I would call them more adversaries kind of a situation. There's some people doing crime, really good. So there's also like a little fake dating going on too. So it was just like
all the best
it
things sprinkled in
was.
there.
Yeah, it was delightful. Sejal Chaudhary inherited her mama's calculating brain, her daddy's quick fingers, and the boatload of trauma that comes from being the eldest daughter of criminals. Although Sejal has never claimed to be a good girl, she spent the last couple of years laying low and mostly going straight. That is until a con gone wrong sends her into the arms of a handsome stranger who's set on dragging her back into her messy family drama. Krish Anand never mastered the fine art of being a bad boy. He would take a book over bullets any day. But when his FBI agent brother goes missing, he has no choice but to suit up for the adventure of a lifetime. Certain that someone in Sejal's little crime family is behind the disappearance, a desperate Krish manages to convince the beautiful thief that his brother's badge is actually his. The deal is simple. Help him find his brother, and Krish and the law will leave Sejal be. With the up-to-no-good ex also hot on her trail, Sejal reluctantly agrees. As they wind their way across the country on planes, buses, and automobiles, sparks ignite, and what began as a fragile, temporary truce starts to look a lot more like a partnership. Falling for the enemy, so cliche, but so good if only they can survive long enough to chance a happily ever after. Super good, high stakes. We had a lot of people wanting to kill people. Like
good conflicting goals, it sounds
really
like.
good conflicting goals. Yeah, classic tension setup. We were just, talking about foolproof phones. I felt like this was really so great. Just thinking off the top of my head, we obviously had one's misdeed. Because like Sejal is obviously a criminal. She comes from a big crime family. Her ex also is part of the Russian mafia. Shh, don't tell anybody. And
Rose.
he's also trying to kill her. And
poor girl needs a vacation.
I know, honestly, yes. We also have family and social pressures when they do meet Krish's parents and their fake dating. And so I really felt like we had a ticking clock. Like there was just like a lot of really good tension amplifiers. And this was just really fun. And I loved the twist. I loved the commentary about eldest daughter through criminals. We think a lot about like eldest daughter, what that means in sort of a quote good girl sense of the term, right? I'm, the eldest daughter. And then there are also narratives of people that culturally have different expectations for their eldest daughters. And so I think that it was really fun to have it be crime families because I'm like, oh yeah, she's gonna be like the best criminal ever. Like that's,
Give it to an oldest daughter, they'll get it done.
Yeah. And there's family conflict within Sejal's family with her aunt and her mom and her sister and her dad and lots of different expectations. I thought it was really great. And it was really fun and I would definitely recommend it.
It sounds so good.
It was great.
And the mistaken identity, right? He's taking his brother's identity. So there's another layer of, even though he's trying to do for good, he's also kind of being a criminal in his own way, because using the badge that's not yours, that's a crime. So
Correct.
so
Yeah.
there's a double layer
Yeah.
there. Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it.
Did you read this or
Secrets.
audio?
I did audio. It was really
Okay.
good. This was also one of the recent books that Nisha Sharma had recommended. So like there were two on like that list. I was like, well, I must read those immediately. So that's what I did. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mother. I will
Thank you.
read them. Mother said we had to.
Thank you for ruining my TBR. And I mean that in the most complimentary way, because I think we joke about it all the time, but like I have a TBR, but like I don't, because like there are no rules and I do what I want. So, and I wanted to
actually
read this book, and I'm glad I did.
This actually goes really complimentary with my book Nook today, because
Okay.
sometimes you just push stuff to the top, whether it's a mood read, someone recommends you. Like sometimes we have I have seasonal vibes, right? Like it's Christmas. I
Absolutely.
want to read Christmas. So my book Nook today was You with a View by Jessica Joyce. And this has been out for a couple years, and it's been on my
a good
TBR.
one.
And I think other things were shiny on my TBR. And I'm a bit sheepish to admit that this has been on for so long, but life's. Nisha Sharma tells you have to read something else, so you push others to the top.
So you
follow
listen? Yeah.
You listen, you follow moods. But guess what? It was finally time for this. I was like, she's the mood I want. It is summertime on the horizon in Minnesota. This is like road trip. It was like everything I wanted. Patrick's home. We're going to be going camping. I was like, this is what I want. Here's the description. Noelle Shepard is unemployed, living with her parents and grieving the loss of her beloved grandmother, when she discovers decades-old photos of Graham and a smitten man tucked alongside a love letter. She creates a TikTok to search for the mystery man, which goes viral, and she's shocked when his grandson responds, a man who happens to be her high school nemesis, Theo Spencer. Noelle refuses to let Theo's annoying accomplishments in adulthood or his sexy smirk stand in the way of meeting his grandfather and unlocking the secrets he knew about her Graham as a young woman. When she learns that their plans to elope were thwarted, Noelle decides to take the honeymoon road trip they planned but never got to carry out. There's a catch, though. Paul, Theo's grandfather, asks to come with her, and he insists that Theo join them. It'll be a miracle if they make it through the trip without Noelle throwing Theo out of the moving car or the bed they end up sharing. As the miles tick by, the tension simmers hotter between them, until she discovers that Theo's hiding a secret that could cause their tenuous relationship to end before it can start. I mean, talk about a road trip with your high school nemesis that's forced, tension from the get-go. And then the element of poor Noelle is having to grieve the loss of her grandmother.
Yes.
I was just feeling for her right away. That's a lot going on, which added a lot of emotional layering and tension. And this is a bit of slow burn, which to me as the reader felt really good, not just because I enjoy slow burns, because I do, but I felt like it fit the story and the characters really, really well. It was fun and emotional, so I don't want you to think it was super heavy. There were heavy moments, but it was really fun, road trip. It was a quality combination. If you're like me and you're behind on this one, don't hesitate to pick it up. Summer 2026 is the time. A second resurgence of this beauty.
This was such a good book. Yeah, I enjoy her writing a lot. And yeah, it was just a really good road trip. I loved in this book, you have the unfolding of two timelines.
Yes.
Actually three, because you have
Their high
Theo's
school.
past with Noelle, you have the grandpa and the gran and their
correct.
romantic past, and then you also have all three of them and their present day journey and how all of those converge. I thought it was really good.
And the mystery piece I really liked. It was really fun take on people go viral for all sorts of things. I remember in the very beginning reading, I was like, I could totally see this happening. And how cool and what a whirlwind would it be that you had this hope to maybe you'd find, but you put it online and you're like, it's probably not going to happen, but you never know. And then it does. I liked it was a mystery. It wasn't a whodunit mystery. It wasn't a murder mystery, but there was still a mystery of what was the relationship? Who was the guy? What's the next step? So that was a really fun external plot device that was enjoyable, but then moved them forwards too. So I'm behind the game, but it was so fun. And I liked this one. So that's my book Nook this week.
Love it. Two great book nooks. We are ready now to move on to our main event, our craft corner. We're talking about part 2, episodes 5 through 8 of the off-campus TV adaptation on Amazon Prime.
All the goodies.
And our previous episode, we ended on episode 4, obviously. So Garrett and Hannah are officially an item, and
not just faking it.
Not
well,
just
still faking it, but like really now together.
She just serenaded him while he played sad solo hockey, you know. So now we are at episode 5, which is called The Cold Turkey, aptly because it is Thanksgiving. This is the Thanksgiving episode. And this was also just like really fun with like the Friendsgiving like situation that was happening. Like I loved that. I just also would like to say, especially by this point, this episode, this is a Tucker appreciation episode with his cooking. So freaking
and how he
cute.
shows love.
How he shows love, like the hijinks and all of that stuff in the kitchen for, you know, the Thanksgiving feast, and just so cute.
And when Dean, there's a one-liner where he's like, Tucker's complaining, like, yeah, no one brought anything. And Dean's like, I brought stuff. And he's like, Miller High Lifes. He's like, the champagne of beers. It's like, you know, they're just their relationship, the wittiness. It was so funny. And then at the very beginning of this episode, I have to say, again, it's definitely a montage, right? They have a lot of these, but I feel like you get a lot of like, they're now in a relationship. So we get some different perspectives of different sexy times with
Garrett
and Hannah that are pretty hot and fun.
Yeah. That was definitely a satisfying representation of them now being in a relationship. I mean, that's like what you're working towards, right? So we're at the 50% mark. Like we're getting
some of that payout. Yeah.
We are getting some of the payout. Like I had said, all of the Friendsgiving, and then we now have like more and more people that are coming to Friendsgiving, and now all of a sudden having to make so much more food.
Oh my God, I'm getting anxious for Tucker. As Tucker's getting anxious, you can tell he's like, how many more people? How many can this feed? And like he's just, you know, trying so hard.
Trying so hard. And no one is helpful. Like people aren't good at cutting, you know, slicing things. People
eventually
are like,
the team though. The team is so cute.
Do.
And you can tell they get like the marker board out and like, here are the tasks. They almost like treat it like a play and a drill. You're doing this. Logan even has it down to the minutes. Like he's coordinating.
Yeah.
But which leads to them deep frying the turkey. And what happens to that poor bird?
Oh God, does it explode? And I knew, because there were multiple times where he was talking about like, I got to pat dry the turkey. I was like, oh no, I know where this is going. And several minutes before we're even in the backyard with the deep fryer. And I was like, he forgot to pat dry the turkey. When they've got the timers going, I said, Daniel, he forgot to pat dry the turkey. And he's like, he did. And then it exploded in the backyard.
I love how you were keeping track of the tasks, because you're like, task 13 subsection B, they did not pat that turkey. They did not pat
I know. Are you surprised that I was keeping track of the tasks?
No, but I love that. So that was really fun, because we have Allie. We don't know where she's going yet, but she's going somewhere for Thanksgiving. Dean is going home for Thanksgiving, and then Hannah's going to go with Garrett to go meet his father, and he doesn't really want to, but he's trying to give it another chance. And it's good because the conflict, you knew it needs to happen, but like I was dreading. I was like, don't go to that Thanksgiving. Don't go to your dad's house. It's not going to be good.
Yep.
But they do. And his dad is such a dick. Like he's a true narcissist, right? Like
truly
awful, like verbally, abusive, and we learn later, physically abusive. But I do love how Hannah's little pep talk in the driveway, that's like, we can leave at any time. I'm here for you. 2 squeezes, we're out. 1 squeeze, I'm fine. So they have their nonverbal communication that I'm here for you, nobody else. I could care less. I thought that was really sweet, and her being supportive of him during that hard time.
I agree.
Think about the visiting dad part of this episode.
Oh, I mean, obviously he sucks, you know, like we don't like Phil Graham.
Like that they left. I was like, Hannah, get him out of there. In my mind, I was like, you should have like gotten up and made the excuse sooner. You clearly are catching on to things. Like get our boy's ass out of there. Gets to get him.
Yeah, and I think one of the things like in the book, and this will come into play in the breakup episode, but in the show, they made sort of the animosity between, rightfully so, like Phil and his son. But Hannah is a little bit more involved in meeting his dad. His dad has a lot of opinions about her. And so, like, I think there's a little bit more. Phil doesn't really get into a dust up with Hannah. Like, Hannah's just kind of there, and she's there to support Garrett. And I think she has some suspicions, but I think Hannah knows more and experienced more of the shit end of Phil's stick, essentially. Like she gets his ire, you know, and his like negative opinion more in the book. And I get why they like kind of cut that out. So I agree. I think Maybe I would have liked a little bit more confrontation at Thanksgiving, but I mean, I think it was fine. It kind of showed his childhood, and I thought it was really sweet that she like grabbed the photo
I
of him and
know.
his mom, and especially, he's probably not going to go back to the house, so
Ever
like that
again.
was
And she
that was
didn't know
really
that when she
sweet.
took it. Yeah.
And she didn't know that when she took it. So like I thought that that was cute. And the other thing that I think is funny that's happening during this episode is we're working still towards the pop showcase, which I do feel like is a little bit of a softer plot at this point. Like it started out really strong as sort of part of the inciting situation related to her scholarship. And then Justin was involved. And now we're obviously dating Garrett. We're still working with Justin on the lyrics for the pop showcase. And I remember saying to Daniel when they were coming up with the lyrics, I was like, that's word salad. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, this is not a good song. And, as we're getting to these later episodes, you're supposed to realize that, like, you're right, it isn't a good song. And that's kind of the point. That's kind of the
Same.
point. So I was
I
like,
had
well,
the
I'm
same
glad that I'm
reaction.
picking that up on that.
Because I was like, these suck. What is a yellow haze? Like, what is
Yeah, what
that?
is a yellow haze? Like, it is word salad. It makes no sense. But yeah, I thought that that was funny.
Allie and Dean are a little bit in this episode, so we get a little bit of knowing that they're hooking up behind the scenes. So number one, I got this reference right away. So Dean and Allie are in the bathtub, and they have a pink dildo, like they're playing with a toy. And then I think it's Tucker, or is it Logan?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's Tucker that comes in, and she holds her breath and goes under the bathtub. And then Dean is just standing there with the dildo, unashamed, and Tucker's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He's like, "It's fine, man. Just close the door." Like, it's hilarious. But
That
this
was
is a
really funny.
throwback to the Friends episode where Monica and Chandler are dating in secret, and they're like, "Do you remember this?" And she goes under the
No,
water.
but
And
another
then
reference.
yes, and then she comes up, and Chandler's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she's like, "Did someone say chicken? I could do some chicken." And then she goes back under the water, and he calls Joey back in to order chicken. That is like the bathtub. It's like totally a
Yeah.
Friends reference.
Yeah.
So that was so fun. But towards the end of this episode, Allie is still trying to figure out what she wants to do. And so Dean wants to hook up again. And Allie's like, "I told you last time was the last time." So they're doing this really cute song battle where they're communicating to each other via songs they're picking to play in the bar. And Allie picks one that's "You in Your Hand" by Pink. And it is
Yeah.
an amazing song. And then is it Hannah that's like, "Love the throwback." Immediately Patrick goes, "I don't love that she said that." Because that's a song that was popular when we were like in college.
In
The fact
college,
that
I know.
She called it a throwback. He was like,
Throwback.
"Well, I don't love that." And I was we were dying laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, that's a little rude, isn't it?" But I think it's true. I think we're old, honey. We're getting old.
It is absolutely true. And then I think that this is also is this the part where Hannah, like where Justin sings the song and it's really bad and she hates
Yes.
it? Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
the very end of this episode is Hannah being confronted with like the bad lyrics that her and Justin have been working on, and Allie makes a comment and she's like, "Yellow rain? Like pee?" And like Daniel was
When
laughing so
Hannah
hard.
sings it to Allie, right? Or she's
Yes.
showing it earlier. Yes, oh no, it's at the bar. This is
It's
the
at
end
the
of the
bar
episode.
because he's singing.
He
Justin
surprises
is singing.
her.
Yeah,
Yes.
Justin's like, "Hey guys, original material. I've been working on this with Hannah Wells," and she's like, "Oh
Mhm.
no," because she's already feeling this doubt about this song because people have pointed out like, what do these even words mean? And then he's singing and he sings about he says like yellow rain or whatever, and Allie is like, "Yellow rain, like pee," and that made me laugh really hard. Daniel was
too.
laughing really hard, and yeah, not a good song.
No, it wasn't. And they never, and this is probably just me, but you can tell in her face, I think she's come to the realization she doesn't like the song, but also like he did not tell her he was going to do this. I had this
Yeah.
conversation on the side with Patrick when she went out in the alley. I'm like, this is almost like another violation. Like
Mhm.
that, like yes, he worked on it too, but it's also for her and she's working on it and it's not ready yet. And you're sharing it without her consent. I was like, God, this poor girl is just having another type of violation. And I hate that for her. That's where they break up their working relationship. Where he's like, "I love
Yeah.
these. I worked really hard. It doesn't sound like you because you didn't write any," which is fair. She didn't write
Which is
lyrics.
true. Yeah.
Thank God,
I
because it's not
do-
good.
Yeah, well, exactly. And yeah, I 100% agree. Justin is a character in the book that he's a football player. So I like the fact that they changed him to a musician. I think that it made a lot of sense with what Hannah is doing, and it put him in the mix a lot more in multiple ways. Like you said, I picked up too on that like lack of consent with her character. And I thought that was a good demonstration of something that's not working.
Not
And
working.
yeah.
So that brings us to episode 6, The Breakaway is what it's called. So this is our Thanksgiving hookup reveal, and it's the sneak peek into Dean and Allie's relationship that's been happening in the background over the last few weeks. And then they have a hockey fundraiser, and we're like increasing tensions between Garrett and Logan as well. I feel like this has been a fan favorite too because we get a lot of Dean and Allie.
We get a lot of Dean
people
and Allie,
on.
yeah.
And it is so cute. I love the reveal of earlier in the episodes. Allie has a number saved that's do not call, and we assume it's Sean, the wet blanket. But really, we find out it's Dean. Dean was who she was calling because they had this like little cozy conversation at the fireplace at their house previously, at the guy's house, that he's like, I'm here when you're ready to like have a good time and start living your life. And she's like, I'll never call you. Never say never.
Never say never. I will say that I knew that when she was calling back in the Shakespeare episode, I was like, that's not
knew.
Sean. I fucking knew. Well, of course. Why would it be Sean? What would that do?
Girl.
Wouldn't do anything.
I
was like, that's not Sean. Like I had a feeling it was Dean. I
thought they were going to make her backslide one more time just to piss me off. You know, that's what I felt like.
To personally victimize you and say that
like,
Amber, she's going to hate this. So we're going to
How many times can we just have her pretend that she likes the wet blanket? Let's give it one more try.
One more time.
College try.
But yeah, I liked the reveal. I thought it was cute. You can also tell that like Dean was liking Allie from the jump.
He falls first. Yeah.
For sure. And, Allie's whole thing is that like she's a relationship girl. Like, and that's part of their conversation, right? And the conflict later in the show becomes that Allie gets called out by her idol for being that, but she doesn't want to be that. And I'm not sure why. So that's sort of just a little tangent that I would like to know in the future. And they're going to get their own season. So maybe we'll know why. But yeah, I also loved the reveal of like, we saw in the previous episode, Allie's obviously getting picked up. She claims that she's going on the bus. We see her get into a car, and it is Dean and is that Bo that's in the car? Yeah, Dean and Bo are in the car, and the way that they shot this and like the way that they did the dialogue, and then the answer to the dialogue was then musical theater, was perfect. And it was so funny. And Daniel was dying laughing because he's been present for musical theater sing-alongs in the vehicle. So
against his will.
Against his will, yes.
And the fact that Bo and Allie are immediately becoming besties over it. Yes. And like Dean is just like, my buddies are just, I'm here. No big deal. Nobody cares.
Yes. It was, I thought
it was so
I loved
good.
The car scene. I loved the car
I did
scene.
Too.
It was just really adorable. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. I just loved the continuation of the scene, and like the sentence was then like they were singing lyrics. And I thought that was really good. I forget exactly what they were singing, but it made sense.
There's so many. They went from one musical to the next. Yeah. So I think the bulk of this episode, we can probably keep it pretty short for this one since we're long-winded on the other ones. But it was just really cute seeing Allie go over to Dean's house where Dean's alone on Thanksgiving. So I think we get a little peek at his, he's privileged in some areas, but I think he's lonely in some.
Yeah.
And they're like playing chess. Like she learns that he likes to play chess. That's probably why there's a chessboard at the boys' house. So it was just so lovely. And then we get the foreshadowing of Garrett and Logan, right?
And I didn't realize, I think, until like this moment that, Garrett really hasn't said anything about his dad, because Logan goes behind Garrett's back after Thanksgiving to get the jersey to raise money for the kids. And that is a big point of tension. And I think that is some foreshadowing between the tension between his dad and Logan and all of that stuff. I thought that was a good episode. It was a really cute episode because obviously we got a lot of Allie and Dean. So, and then episode 7, we all knew it was coming. Like this was the breakup episode, right? This is the face off. This is where shit hits the fan around the St. A's game. So at the end of like the previous episode, Hannah realizes that her abuser is playing at St. A's and they're on hot streak, their hockey team. And so they're going to be coming to campus and playing. And she, freaks out a bit. We see her at the beginning of this episode really like being pretty traumatized and having a lot of flashbacks and being much more withdrawn and just very upset. The fact that he's going to be there, that Garrett's going to be there. She's withdrawing from the showcase. She's going into full withdrawal mode. She is traumatized. She is going into like self-preservation mode. And I thought it was really sweet. You know, she goes into the auditorium and her advisor is playing the piano. And again, we're talking about feelings and music. And I thought it was really sweet that he had said it's his belief that art doesn't have to be painful. And I thought that that was really sweet and just a beautiful piece of advice too, because I think we always hear that, oh, art is pain, or you're supposed to sit over your desk and, you know, cut yourself open and bleed, and that's how you write. And I think that there can be a lot of joy that comes from art, and that joy
And
can
healing,
inspire art.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the stuff that you know is coming to fruition, is going to happen in this episode.
We all knew that this buildup, like this confrontation was happening. And so it was sort of like, oh God, like what's going to happen?
I thought it was refreshing that I think I expected when Garrett's calling Hannah and she's not showing up and then she shows up at the halftime. A little unrealistic that they could have that conversation during halftime, but that's just like
Correct.
for the movie, anybody who
Oh,
plays
yeah.
any kind of sport, like that's not happening.
Yeah.
But regardless, that he's like, I've been trying to call you, like, where have you been? And then reaction for him to just like be projecting his feelings and be mad at her when really he's just worried about her. But he didn't do that. Again, I think this was a change of being, I was just worried about you. Like, if you can call, can you just do that next time? I like this version because, again, we need to break down some of these toxic behaviors of,
Right.
you should have called me back. And it's her fault. She's her own person with her own life. And he
Yeah.
didn't lash out at her because he was having a bad hockey game and he was worried about her. It was more of like, I was worried about you. Are you okay? Can you just try to call back next time? I liked that element.
I totally agree. And I think that that was an intentional change, because I think that Garrett is a little bit more controlling in the book, from what I remember and just some of the stuff that I've read and some of the things that Belmont Cameli has said, and just sort of talking about some of the changes that they made. And I do think that was such a good thing to note, because we're about to then be contrasted with his dad, right? And so that happens. He's calling Hannah. We have the moment of, you know, I was worried about you. I want to know you're safe. And then there's a fight that's instigated essentially because he realizes who this person is that's basically been targeting him the whole game, because Delaney sees Hannah and he specifically sees Hannah with Garrett, and he beats the shit out of him. So that obviously gets him
and like
ejected
gets
from
thrown
the
out
game.
of the game. And then a fight with this.
He totally loses control, totally loses his shit. Yep.
Blacks out even. Like later
Blacks
we learn
out.
he doesn't even remember. Then after the game, I loved the confrontation with his father. Not that I love it felt good, but I thought it was very well done. I thought it would be very authentic to the dad's character of being like, well, you did that, but I've never been more proud of you. That's like old school hockey. Like such a tool.
Yeah.
And then for Garrett to be like, I'm freaking done with you. But then he gets one last jab in there that just gets at Garrett's inner wound of being like, you're already like me. Like that's obviously what prompts him to break up with Hannah, right? He's protecting Hannah, break up with her. But I was like, this whole interaction was, I thought, so artfully done. It was just what we needed. And then Phil goes away and the castle falls down. The castle falls apart.
I totally agree. It was like, you just knew, you're like, ooh, he's not going to like that. Like, he's not going to like that. We see what happened earlier and what's been happening. We, the viewer, know that like, Garrett is trying to change, that he is like being considerate. He is not his dad, right? We know this. We've been shown this throughout the whole show thus far, but we also need to see Garrett not believe that. I thought that was really good. And then that triggers the breakup, like you said, in the parking lot, which was sad. And some people are, what I've seen on the discourse is like, some people are upset that Garrett's the one that broke up with Hannah, because in the book, Hannah breaks up with Garrett. But the reason Hannah breaks up with Garrett in the book is because of his dad. He essentially blackmails her and is like, if you don't break up with Garrett, I'm going to financially cut him off. And again, much more of the like, you're not good enough for my son. Because in the book, I believe they're from Boston, and he lives, you know, in Beacon Hill, historic mansion home, Boston Brahmin type vibes. Like that's who they're associating with. And obviously Garrett breaks up with Hannah in this series. And I think that makes sense because of what we just saw. So like, I think that they set it up fine.
I do too. It's different, but I think it makes sense how they set it up to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more internal. I think it shows the more of the internal wound and having to change, right? Than the original reason was more external. And it worked in the context of the book because we got more of interaction with Phil.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Poor Hannah.
Poor
It's
Hannah.
all done. He breaks up with her, and that's the end of episode 7. And that brings us to here we are already at number 8, the line change, breakup, aftermath, and the reconciliation. So it's very sad, right? She's trying to like continue on her mind. It's not quite as bad. Actually, in my mind, when I watched this, I was like, this is the point in New Moon where Bella is sad and it's just like month. I'm like, I'm so glad they didn't do it quite like that. Like we're still doing things, but we're just melancholy and we're sad. This is during the sad part, but I think she's like taking exams. I was like, oh, they still use blue books like for exams. Because there's software now. I don't know if you used it in med school, but in law school, we have a lot of essays that a whole 3 hours is you writing responses. And there's software you download that they make sure you can't use any other application besides the one you're using. So you don't have to use Blue Book anymore to still use essays. So I liked the throwback. It's probably cheaper still for undergrad. But I was like, they still use Blue Books and write old school by hand?
I don't think it's very common, but I do know that some professors are bringing it back because they're like, no computers, no nothing. You're sitting in this test and that's how we're evaluating you.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So I do know that they're coming back. I did have a couple of Blue Book exams in college, but like in med school, I mean, we were doing Scantrons. Or we were doing standardized testing, which is obviously like at a prometric, all multiple choice. I did not write an essay in med school.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you ask.
You don't. Yeah, I don't know what the youth are up to these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you like the difference between the book and the series for the hands-off rumor? In the book,
I liked it better in the series.
I did too. In the series, not in this series, not the book, right?
Not the book.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked what they changed.
Me too. So in the book, Garrett does say a hands off her, even though he's broken up with her, he's like hands off Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just so problematic in so many ways. Yeah. So I love that they changed that problematic, that it was a misunderstanding between younger players overhearing Dean be like, he's going to lose his shit if she dates somebody else. And they took that as like, he's going to beat the shit out of anybody. So nobody can touch or date Hannah. So there's still that conflict that she's like, what the fuck, and goes to confront him. But I like to twist that he was like, I did not do that. That's not okay. We will fix this.
Yeah. I think the actor was also talking about like, because people have asked him about the change and, his controlling father is clearly a point and he's trying to like, it didn't make sense for Garrett to also be super controlling. So I think that in some of these critical points, they really made the decision that Garrett was
breaking the cycle.
That he was breaking the cycle. Yeah, exactly.
I love
that. I liked it. I'm glad that they changed it. But I think in the original iteration of the book, I think Garrett was, like I said, a little bit more of a douche. He was a little bit more like controlling, like mine, and some people like that. Some people really like that, like you're mine, hands off. Like some people like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
anybody's yum, but I like
it made sense too, especially
for
with
this
like
version.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
So in this confrontation, she hears this and she's pissed. So she's been sad, but now she's pissed. So she's like she's going to the gym. She's going to practice. Where is he? He's in the locker room. And I think in her rage, she's thinking maybe it'll just be him, but she walks in the locker room and it's like all the guys afterwards. And I was not expecting this. So all of a sudden you get, and it is a room full frontal penises.
So many pieces. And we got like close-ups on just like junk.
On just junk. And this is also showing the United States, but like most of them were uncut. They were uncircumcised. And I was like, we're getting some, immediately I squealed again, not for nudity, but I was like, equity, equitable distribution of nudity. And I loved, so she's upset. And then her acting, I thought was so good here. Where she's like, oh my God. And then at one point she like covers up her eyes. And what did she say? I made a note. She's like, I can't think straight with so many penises in the room.
I know. And then they're like, well, you are in a men's locker room. And she's like, fair. But like, it was very funny.
It was so funny. And then later, right, they're moving on, but they're still kind of sad. And there's this whole like they're in different spaces, but they're looking at each other's Instagram. And then Garrett purposely likes an older post so that she'll see he's at least like thinking of her or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute and relatable, right? Like everyone's talked about like you look at your old ex and you probably shouldn't. And Katie immediately, she kind of popped in and out this whole time. And she hadn't watched the whole show, so she's not as emotionally invested, right? She immediately goes, that is stalker behavior. But I was like, he might be online stalking her a little bit here. Yeah, you're right. But I was
That
like,
was
but you don't
bold.
understand. He's pine. That was bold to like a post that was like years old. Like you're clearly
Yeah.
deep diving.
Yeah.
How did
But
how
she
did
knew
you
what it
feel?
meant. It was a
She knew
signal.
it was a signal, but she didn't reply back. So she's trying to like move on. How did you feel about the conversation where Hannah finally confesses to her roommate Allie about her sexual assault? How did you like that?
I thought it was so sweet. And
Mm-hmm.
I just like it was sisterhood, it was girlhood. Of there are some times where, you know, a friend or yourself, you're telling them about something, but like you're distancing yourself from it. And for your friends, your true friends, they know that something's up, you know, but they're going to be supportive and like give you your space. And I just thought that that was like so sweet that she was like, of course I knew it was you, and I figured you would tell me when you were ready. And that makes so much sense too. We can really see their relationship, that care and concern, and Allie kind of like protecting Hannah and being her wing woman, and with her drinking restrictions that she had, you know, placed on like parties and all that stuff. That was out of love and knowledge about the situation. And so I loved it. It was such a cute moment and such a beautiful demonstration of friendship.
How did you feel about the showcase at the end? So as we were building up to it, I was like, I hope it's not going to be too cringe. And then Patrick and Katie, I have like all the commentary. They're both immediately like, you know, it's going to be a little cringe.
It was
How
that.
did you? The shoes threw me off. The costuming shoe choice on her dress was a little distracting.
For me, I felt like there were other smaller moments that felt more emotionally resonant in the story. So this one, while it was a grand gesture, and I thought it was so cute that Allie and Dean were coordinating, like getting everybody to the showcase. And like, they're like,
Yep.
you know, you've got to get Garrett there. Like Allie calls Dean like so cute, adorable. But I think the actual moment of Hannah singing and essentially having Garrett like being there in the front, I was kind of like, it was a little anticlimactic. Like I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I thought the song was really meaningful for her own experience. I
For
really
sure.
liked that. But I agree. She saw him in the audience, which is kind of nice and supportive. But I do think that this episode felt slow in some places and too fast in others. And I think it felt
Yeah.
too fast at the very end here because since Garrett broke up with her, even though she understands why, he still broke her heart. And shows up at the biggest moment of her life, which, yeah, we want it to be supportive, but like maybe not the front row, because that could have really thrown her off, in my opinion.
100%.
And then on top of that, then afterwards, Katie caught this when he's leaning up against the truck. She's like, 16 candles, baby. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
there's another reference.
Another reference.
And I like that he's accountable and apologizing, but I just felt like it's not meant to punish, but like immediately she is just like, I forgive you, we're together, we kiss. Like it just felt like even though he was going through something hard, he still broke her heart. I thought there needed to be more there. It just felt like, oh, he's ready to just take you back and now you jump. And there was nothing more. And maybe again they'll go into that in season 2. But that was just my little feelings on this one episode. I didn't feel that with any of the others, but it just felt fast and slow in some places.
I
And
think
then
that's a good assessment.
And then there's one other thing I really, really liked about this episode. My sister was here for the weekend when we watched, so she binged some of it with us. When Hannah's bike breaks down, right? She's in the aftermath of she's broken up with, and now her bike breaks down and it's dark, and she calls her mom. She's like, Mom, radar can tell something's wrong. I teared up at that conversation between her mom and her of that, like, what mom goals? Number one, how she is just so calm and caring and walking her through it, but also like not freaking out herself. As Lachlan is only 4, and if something like that happened to him, and knowing what he's been through, I'm sure there's some level of anxiety and you don't want your kid to hurt, but like trying to walk them through it on their own. And when she asked the question of like, why are you sorry? What did you do? And you can see that whole perspective shift in her eyes when she's apologizing for like, the only reason you're broke and you can't do the things in the different job is because we had to pay for the lawyer bills and because of all the things I did. And it's all my fault. It's like all this guilt she's been carrying.
Yeah.
And her mom just being like, so what did you do? If you're sorry, what did you do wrong?
I know.
That
was like that was such a good line.
And then she was like, honey, you had one drink at a party and someone drugged you. Like that, you did nothing wrong. Like the mom being like, you did nothing wrong. And her just kind of like still breaking down and having that final realization however many years later. I was like, that was very, very moving. Still, I'm getting chills talking about it.
I know, it was really sweet. And just like how her mom kind of like talked her through like, using the bike as like a vehicle to tell her what's wrong. And then we were able to like get to the source of the problem. But that was like a really sweet moment. I agree. And I really liked the very ending. This makes me really excited for
Oh,
Allie and
yeah,
Dean's
yeah,
season.
yeah.
And you know, I honestly I didn't really see it coming with like the guy that she was hooking up with. Like the fake
This
ID,
twist
like
got you.
this
Twist
twisted,
got
yeah,
you.
it did get me. I was like, oh, like I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Like this is of course going to be a great source of tension. But like, you know, we had the hookup earlier. I really am curious why all of a sudden it's a problem for Allie to be a serial monogamist. I don't know if it's just because this person that was her idol was like, don't be lame. You basically jumped out of one bed and into another, and now you're in another relationship. If the insinuation is that like you need to be free and find yourself, I'm not sure. But I always knew that Allie was a boyfriend girl, and they had that conversation. I thought it was cute when she climbed into his window and was like, okay, we need to hook up with different people. And he's like, yeah, I'm like always hooking up with different people. Okay, let's do the assignment. And then realizes his feelings and that really cute moment with Dean and Bo.
Yeah.
Having a conversation about feelings and being supportive. And he's like, you got to tell
And
her.
vulnerable.
Like, yeah, being vulnerable. And obviously, you know, wanting to be with one person is something that's different than what Dean has experienced before. And so when Allie hooks up with whoever the guy is, ends up
Hunter
being
Davenport.
Hunter Davenport. But what was his name? It was like something
yeah.
St. Clair the Fifth on his
The
fake
fifth.
ID
It
or
was
whatever.
clearly a fake ID when
It was
she
clearly a
first
fake
hooked
ID.
up.
Yeah, and it was so funny. It was like Sawyer St. Clair the first,
Yeah.
like the fifth or something. I thought it was a funny name.
And then really he's Dean's rival from we don't know the backstory yet, or you don't if you've not read the books.
Right.
And then now he's going to be on the team. So it's going to be creating just team conflict on the hockey team. And then
And she had just hooked up with him, goes to Malone's, and Dean's like, hey, like I didn't complete the assignment because I like you, I like us. And I was like, oh. And then she was like, what do you mean? Like you have to complete the assignment because I did. And you can just like see his face, like he's just like crestfallen, like he's just like so sad. And then in walks Hunter Davenport, and then he notices that Allie's like, what is he doing here? And he's like, oh my God, is this who you hooked up with? And it's like, rage.
Bam. Yep.
Bam.
It's so good. It's such a good setup. I can't wait for season 2. We're gonna get so much of Dean and Allie and the other characters. It's gonna be so fun. So I think that's my final thoughts on this. That nothing is perfect, but I really liked it. I had a fun time. You know, like I binged it. It wasn't hard to binge it. I know you and I were gonna do it because we wanted to do this podcast, 2 episodes, but it wasn't a hard pull for me. I truly enjoyed it. It was fun. It was escapism. It had so much nostalgia. I'm excited for season 2.
Yeah.
I think this was overall no complaints. Again, it's
I
a little
agree.
different than the book, but like they always are gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a baseline. I think if you're gonna go into any adaptation and expect it to be the same, you're going in with false pretenses of trying to like it. I think you shouldn't even watch. If you think if any changes are going to make you upset, then maybe don't watch it, you know, because like it isn't going to be.
Yeah.
Reading print medium isn't the same as visual. There's going to have to be.
If you think that.
Yeah, right. So that also
Yeah.
I think helps change perspectives of like be open to changes from the book. See if you like them. You don't have to like the changes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you just at least have to be open that like they are going to happen. And be open to see if you do like them.
Yeah, I agree. And like overall, I really enjoyed it too. It was fun to watch. Daniel liked it. We had a good time. It was like a cute show. I feel like the acting was good. I thought that the chemistry was good. You know, they played a lot of millennial bait music.
Hell yeah, they
there
did.
There was a lot of references, which I thought was kind of fun, if you know type of a thing. I am a little bit sad that Hannah's pink bike helmet did not get an official line on the credits.
Oh my gosh, there's so many funny posts online of like her riding with that big, just ginormous, just dome. It needed its own. Oh my gosh, someone should create a SAG account for it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? Someone should create a SAG account for it. Like the Screen Actor Guild
that
account.
would be really funny. Yeah, Hannah's bike helmet. But I like the changes that they made for the show. I liked the changes that they made. And there were some pieces of character and story that I think I preferred in the adaptation, actually.
Hmm.
And I think that it was good. It was fun. And I'm excited to see season 2. And yeah, it's gonna be
Slumber
fun.
party, video,
Yes.
watching shows vibes. This was such a fun 2 episodes. So we hope you enjoyed it as well. Let us know in the comments if you want to do more fun kind of tandem watch, see what we think.
I know. I will say, you guys, I'm sorry if I jumped around a little bit because this is the first time that I've like taken notes for like
A show.
a recap, and I got to
Same.
do better. Like
We'll be more organized.
we will be more organized because I sort of was just writing down like my
Vibes
like
and notions.
yes, my vibes and notions, like my reactions and like my initial thoughts, and I included quotation marks without any, because I guess I thought that I would remember who said that. That's not true. I won't.
Spoiler,
So
2 days later.
spoiler
Who said
alert,
this?
I won't. I do wish that like I had written a little bit more notes about like a little bit more like describing what was happening in a scene that I really liked. I would like to pay a little bit more attention to documenting some of like the visual stuff because I feel like I could have done a little bit better job. So this is not probably going to be our best recap, but like we will get better. So hopefully you had a good time, and we would love to have you add to the conversation. In this back half of the season, what was your favorite episode? Do you have a favorite moment from the last 4 episodes? And was there anything that you felt like the TV show did better, or I guess worse, than the book? So let us know. We'd love
let
to
us know
hear
all the
from you.
things.
All the things.
Now we're ending, which means we all deserve happy endings. Allie, I'll go first. I'm going to be like quick and dirty with this, and truly dirty. So my garden is starting to pop, which is really fun.
Yay!
Lachlan and I walk over to the garden and check. The first time I'm trying cut flowers in new spots, so we'll see if that works.
Okay.
But they're starting to pop. But what's
Nice.
really funny, so we got the big bean bushes are popping, which Lachlan's very excited
Love.
about. But carrots are so small when they start. They're like tiny, and it's like 2 little things. So you like it's hard to weed by them in the beginning. So I have been leaving them, and I didn't realize on the edge of my garden box there's a little lip over. All of a sudden, I think Lachlan dropped the seed packet, and I didn't realize it. There are like 30 carrots in like
Incredible.
a tiny area. Like not all of them are going to survive, and if they do, they're going to all twine together. There's not enough space. I'm leaving it as an experiment because like we're just
Okay.
going to see what happens. We still have rows of the things I purposely planted to be spaced out.
Okay.
And then we also have this like crazy mass of not properly spaced baby carrots all on top of each other. So stay tuned for what happens, but it's just really fun to be like, oh, they're popping up, they're growing. Let's see what happens. So stay tuned
I love
for
that.
what happens with our carrots.
Oh,
Allie,
I love that.
thank you. What is your happy ending?
So I'm pretty sure that the floors are done. So we're moving
That
on
is
to like
this is such a big happy ending.
at the new house. Yep. So I'm excited about that. And my test wallpaper came today. So I really love William Morris, you guys. And I'm gonna do a really kind of like vibrant, loud powder room. So I'm gonna do like the fruit pattern. So this one, if you can see,
guys,
it's
she's
the,
holding
it's the
up.
traditional. It's the traditional like lemon pattern with the pomegranates. If you guys look up William Morris, it's like
So beautiful.
one of his like famous original patterns. And then I was also I'm going to wallpaper my office, which is a lot smaller than the one that I'm in right now because this is just like a spare bedroom. And so I was looking for wallpaper and got like these samples. And this one is like a really pretty like mineral blue, and it's going to be like a linear like floral pattern, I think. So I think I'm going to do those. They're both on back order right now, so it's not going to happen anytime
Of course.
soon. But when it's time, I will be ready. So.
And you'll have to post pictures because it's going to be so pretty. I cannot wait.
I know. I am not sure. Like I'm have a standing desk, and so I'll probably keep that because I do like the adjustability factor. But I am looking around my office right now. I was like, shit, how am I going to fit all of this stuff in there? And I think the answer is I'm not. So we'll see.
The answer is no.
We'll see I think the answer is no. I'm
It's
not.
not going to work.
But my office is pretty small, but it is right across the foyer from what was the formal living room. And probably next year, it's not going to be this year because we're doing a lot of updates, but it's going to be a library. So like that's where my books and everything will move.
You're
So
living out everyone's Beauty and the Beast Belle
I'm
dreams.
excited about. I'm
Of
excited
gonna
about
have
the
your own
house
library.
stuff. It's expensive, but
You
it's gonna
deserve
be
it.
pretty.
It's been a lot. It's gonna be
It's gonna be
pretty and it's
pretty.
gonna make me happy. This is just where we're living.
I know. It's
That
gonna
is
be
such a
pretty.
good happy
So,
ending. We're getting to
yeah,
the
so
exciting parts
wallpaper
of some of
samples have
all the stressful
arrived.
stuff.
Yes, wallpaper samples have arrived. And I guess the good news is that I really still like what I picked. And so I feel good
Yes.
about that. It just needs to be in stock. So whenever that happens, we'll order it.
Done and done.
Yay.
Happy endings indeed.
So thank you guys again for joining us. We are in all of the places. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Deezer, wherever. We're probably there. And you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Smut and Sensibility Pod. We are also on Blue Sky at Smut and Sensibility .bsky.social. And then we also do have, I had to really think about that one for a second, and that might be wrong, but it'll be linked down below if I am wrong.
Yes, always linked.
Yeah, always linked. And then we are also have a newsletter, so we can stay in touch outside of the algorithms. And we usually do a monthly roundup. And once things are a little bit less crazy, I think we'll be putting some more content like in our newsletter and such. But for right now,
We got fun plans.
we've got like our monthly recipes, kind of like pop culture stuff that we're reading, learning, more book recommendations, obviously, and like what we're watching. So we obviously have been watching Off Campus. So we're really excited. And Amber, do you want to sign us off?
I do. Remember, everyone, to go in pursuit of your happily ever after. And more importantly, stay smutty. Bye, guys.
Bye.